Hey guys, I'm trying to make a quick video here about the lights that I do. So I put the lights on the vertical fins before I glued them on. You can see them from the rear, the bottom, the front, the top. No matter which direction, you can see the lights on the verticals. Pretty damn important. On this wing it says pecan patch. You've probably seen it before. This is the third wing that those lights have been on. I had to replace about 2 different strands. I think this one and that one were all messed up. But you just cut it out and put a new one in. I put blue on my trailing edge. That can only be seen when it's going away from you. That helps me keep my orientation. It'll also, on the top, it'll have a headlight that's just white, that's pointing straight at you. And you always put red on the left wing, green on the right wing per full scale. And so all you do is I've got it just plugged into this battery just to check everything. I'm going to unplug it just because it's blinding me. And so I have an extra pigtail coming off of this one, and that's going to get soldered into these blues. Even though they're already working, if somebody comes and hits you and busts a connection somewhere, you want to kind of run the wires in kind of a big circle so that if any point of the circle gets broke by a plane hitting it, it'll stay on until another place is broke. And then it tells you, well, it's dead between here and here, so the problem must be either there or there. You fix one of them, it's all working again. But if you fix both of them, then you're back to a full circle, which is really good. These little lights I get from a company called hobbyparts.com. They're the same width as the phone, about 5 millimeters wide. They're kind of a pain in the ass, but if they say they're available, they got them, and that's what I like. They're not the cheapest, but if I can get what I'm wanting and get the colors and get the width, I like the fact that they fit that. Same thing. Well, I've got bigger ones wrapped around the verticals. So here's the pea and pecan patch, and I brought a pigtail off of that, and that's going to power up both sides of this. Now, there's no heat shrink there. It doesn't matter. Like, when this is all said and done, I'll tape that one over there, and I'll tape this one away from it. And that's all the insulation you need. And you can see the solder joint there and there. Sometimes these will come with a pigtail on it, but it's a real hard, thick wire. I generally take a soldering iron, knock that off of there, put my own wires on there. I have a big old bag right here full of old servo wires and extension wires that I didn't trust or whatever. I use them for lights. Old servos especially, I cut them off of there. I also have a roll of some good wire right here that I recently bought. And if I really need a long one, I'll try to use up the short stuff first. 26 gauge works really good. And my soldering setup's just an iron. I got a homemade stand. My Ryobi died on me. I'm mad about that. This is for cleaning the iron. There's the solder, the good stuff. Kester. If the tip gets messed up, I use this tip cleaner. You just dip it in there and spin it around and then wire brush it off. That helps. On these lights here on the trailing edge, I put a piece of tape on glass here, and I take my knife, my trusty laser cutter, and I just cut a little strip there, and I can get my thumb on it right here and just peel that up. I'm trying to do all this one-handed. And I don't completely tape over these lights at the trailing edge. I kind of leave the LED exposed, and I just go in between them with a thin piece like I showed you that I cut. You can see other places it's already been taped. So even all this will have to get taped. Now, if there's a place that I feel like's easily compromised, like where this is, it's not going to lay down too good, I will probably get it taped to about there, and then I'll pop some shoe goo or E6000 on it right there so that it can't get pulled or whatever. Now, there's a pigtail here. That's going to go up to a strip of lights that's on the top of the wing. Same thing here. This goes up to my headlight. And this one here is going to get connected to that one. I got to shorten it all up So those will come together. This one's in process. I made these blocks back when I was working at Delta, and they are just so awesome. And you can see they hold the wire so you can solder them. If you try to solder them right on the foam, you'll burn through the tape, burn the foam. So those will get soldered together. That one will get soldered together, and it'll all be taped down away from itself. What else here? I've got a little test strip here, and I was going to show you, I have a converter it puts out 12 volts. I can't read the amps. And I got an alligator clip on this one right here just because I only have one hand while I'm filming. And so this thing comes in handy. If you short it out, it's not the end of the world. It won't spark or do anything crazy. So I've got an alligator clip onto the positive, and I'm going to go here to the negative. And there you can see you can test lights with it. So if I had an extra hand, I could come over here and I could touch a couple of these and the whole thing would light up as another way to test it. A while ago, I had a battery in over here to test it so you could see. Now, these thin ones that I get at hobbyparts.com, they have the tiniest little solder pads. These little bitty dots right here. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Those little tiny dots are just really small. So what I do is I lay my laser cutter down and I scrape them. Come on, focus right there. You see, I scrape that little bitty dot into a much bigger copper contact, which makes life much easier. So that's a thing. And then I was going to show you this on my last wing. I had these little brass plates, and one was for positive and one was for negative, and I just run all the positive wires and soldered them to that, and all the negatives and soldered them to that, and then all that got taped over, and it was kind of like a junction, but you know, you don't have to use heat shrink. I got all kind of tools for doing soldering jobs. This is one like you used to buy anywhere, but to me it wasn't heavy enough. It was a twin. I cut it in half. I welded a bigger block on it, and it's just so much better like this. Here's one that Micro Mark sells. It's a little tweezer thing that, to me, it's a little wimpy, but I may change it up. This is another one I made. It's a very fine adjustable on the height. It's got a slot here. You can go up and down with the height. I don't use it much, but I think it's cool. And then I welded up these vice hemostats together. And that comes in handy when you're kind of working in the air. Like these big heavy ones, you can't work in the air. You got to set it somewhere. But these, it can be floating and just hanging by the wires. My LEDs stay in this box. I've recently put them in bags with green, yellow, red, pink. And I separate the colors, and it makes life much easier. And another thing, when I'm soldering these up, I try to use a red wire and a black wire. Sometimes I'll use an orange for black or whatever. I always take a marker and mark the red side. I have to really look close to see where the positive is. And once I find it, I just mark it red, and then I can go quicker without worrying about getting the wrong deal. To control my lights, I don't use a programmer. I use one of these. This is a brushed BEC or ESC. So it's like an old, what a GWS brush motors used. And you plug in this to a channel, preferably with a slider, whether it be up and down or left and right. And that gives you variable speed. So it's kind of like you're running an electric motor, but you're actually running the lights. So this will get soldered on there, that JST, and this one will get soldered on the other side. And you have to take the power wire out of the connector. I usually tape over that thing. And you do that because you're already powering the receiver with the regular ESC for the motor, and you don't want to do that twice. Sometimes bad things will happen. So anyway, that gives you the ability to turn the lights on and turn the lights off. But if it's on a slider or a rotary knob, you can dim the lights. Just go halfway and the lights will be at half volume, which is really good when you're waiting to launch and you're blinding everybody. You can dim the lights. You can launch it and then go full bright once you get up there. And then when you get ready to land, you can go to half bright, come in and land, and it slides up to your feet, and you slide it the rest of the way and you turn the lights off so you're not blinding everybody. Such a great benefit to do. And that's all I got. I believe I've covered everything. And if you got any questions, hit me up in the comments. See you.